Hey, welcome back to Coin Chronicles. This is Bryce. I hope you're doing well. Today we will take a look at the history of the 1980s, from the year 1980 to 1989, and we will look at some coins from each year. First, we will cover the history of the year 1980. In the year 1980, President Jimmy Carter proclaims a grain embargo against the USSR. With the support of the European Commission. The Voyager 1 probe confirms the existence of Janus, one of Saturn's moons. The Georgia Guidestones are erected in Elbert County, Georgia. On March 27th, known as Silver Thursday, a steep fall in silver prices, resulting from the Hunt brothers cornering the market, leads to vast panic on future exchanges. On April 1st, the 1980 census takes place, counting 226,545,805 United States residents. Mount St. Helens erupts in Washington, killing 57 people and causing $3 billion in damage. The movie The Empire Strikes Back is released, and the well-known arcade game Pac-Man is released. The 1980 U.S. heat wave claims the lives of 1,700 people, and the unemployment rate peaks at 7.8%, highest in 4 years. The 1980 Damascus Titan missile explosion occurs when a LGM-25C Titan II intercontinental ballistic missile explodes at a missile launch facility north of Damascus, Arkansas. In the 1980 presidential election, Ronald Reagan defeats incumbent President Jimmy Carter in a landslide victory. On November 8th, a 7.3 magnitude earthquake hits near Eureka, California, causing 6 injuries and $2.75 million in losses. The famous Beatles band member John Lennon is shot and killed by Mark David Chapman in front of the Dakota apartment building in New York City. Flash memory, the hepatitis B vaccine, the Apple Silent Type printer, Crunchy Nut cereal, McChicken, soft soap, and sriracha are invented, and the songs Sailing, Ride Like the Wind, Lady, Magic, Call Me, Funky Town, Lost in Love, All Out of Love, Still Away, Biggest Part of Me, Against the Wind, I Can't Tell You Why, Celebration, Kiss on My List, 9 to 5, The Winner Takes It All, Love on the Rocks, Another One Bites the Dust, Suddenly, Same Old Lang Syne, and Smoky Mountain Rain are released. Now we will take a look at the 1980 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1980 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now we will take a look at the 1980 S Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1980 S Washington Quarter Proof. Now we will cover the history of the year 1981. In the year 1981, United States and Iranian officials sign an agreement to release 52 American hostages after 14 months of captivity. Ronald Reagan is sworn in as the 40th president, and George H.W. Bush is sworn in as the 43rd vice president. A fire at the Las Vegas Hilton Hotel Casino kills 8 people and injures 198. On March 30th, President Ronald Reagan is shot in the chest outside a Washington, D.C. hotel by John Hinckley, Jr. 2 police officers and press secretary James Brady are also wounded. In June, the United States enters a severe early 1980s recession, nearly a year after the minor recession ended, while the unemployment rate is at 7.2%. The first recognized cases of HIV/AIDS is discovered. The start of the Indiana Jones sequel, Raiders of the Lost Ark, directed by Steven Spielberg, is released on June 12th. President Ronald Reagan fires 11,359 striking air traffic controllers who ignored his order for them to return to work. Israeli aircraft bomb Beirut, Lebanon, killing approximately 300 civilians, resulting in a U.S. embargo of aircraft export to Israel. In the Iran-Contra scandal, Ronald Reagan signs the top-secret National Security Decision Directive 17, authorizing the CIA to recruit and support Contra rebels in Nicaragua. The number 21 mine explosion in Whitwell, Tennessee, kills 13 people. The first American test tube baby, Elizabeth Jordan Carr, is born in Norfolk, Virginia. And the MS-DOS operating system, the first IBM PC, scanning tunneling microscope, Act 2 popcorn, McRib, Nutrigrain, and Techron are invented, and the songs Just the Two of Us, Time, Endless Love, Jesse's Girl, Believe It or Not, Arthur's Theme, America, Hello Again, What Kind of Fool, Physical, Chariots of Fire, Key Largo, Private Eyes, and Through the Years are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1981 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1981 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now we'll take a look at the 1981 S Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1981 S Washington Quarter Proof. Now we'll cover the history of the year 1982. In the year 1982, Air Florida Flight 90 crashes into Washington, D.C.'s 14th Street Bridge and falls into the Potomac River, killing 78 people, while 5 survive. On the same day, a Washington Metro train derails, killing 3 people. President Ronald Reagan delivers his first State of the Union address. The United States places an embargo on Libyan oil imports, alleging Libyan support for terrorist groups. A groundbreaking ceremony for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial is held in Washington, D.C. A blizzard, large in size for the month of April, dumps 1 to 2 feet of snow on the northeastern U.S., causing many closures. On May 1st, a crowd of over 100,000 people attend the first day of the 1982 World's Fair in Knoxville, Tennessee. As the fair is kicked off with an address by President Ronald Reagan, over 11 million people attend the fair in its 6-month run. Steven Spielberg's horror film Poltergeist and E.T. the Extraterrestrial are released. A large rally against nuclear weapons draws 750,000 people to New York City Central Park, and many famous artists attend. Lawn Chair Larry Walters, flies 16,000 feet above Long Beach, California, in a lawn chair with weather balloons attached. Pan Am Flight 759, a Boeing 727, crashes in Kenner, Louisiana, killing all 146 on board and 8 on the ground. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial is dedicated in Washington, D.C., after a march to its site by thousands of Vietnam War vets. Michael Jackson released his popular album, Thriller, the biggest selling album of all time. The Commodore 64 8-bit home computer, Adobe Systems CD player, Diet Coke, G.I. Joe, Rollerblade brand, and Sony Watchman are invented, and the songs Eye in the Sky, Even the Nights Are Better, Eye of the Tiger, I Love Rock and Roll, Ebony and Ivory, Hard to Say I'm Sorry, Open Arms, 65 Love Affair, Take It Easy on Me, I Keep Forgettin', You and I, Hungry Like the Wolf, Africa, The Girl Is Mine, Heart to Heart, Heartbreaker, Steppin' Out, It Might Be You, and 1999 are released. Now we will take a look at the 1982 Lincoln Memorial Sind. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1982 Lincoln Memorial Sind. Now we will take a look at the 1982 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1982 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Now we will cover the history of the year 1983. In the year 1983, on January 3rd, Kilauea begins slowly erupting on the Big Island of Hawaii. In the Waimea Massacre, 13 people are killed in an attempted robbery in Seattle, Washington. President Ronald Reagan makes his initial proposal to develop technology to intercept enemy missiles known as Star Wars. The April 1983 U.S. Embassy bombing in Beirut, Lebanon, kills 63 people. On May 2nd, the 6.2 magnitude Coalinga earthquake shakes Central California, causing 94 injuries and $10 million in losses. In the Benton fireworks disaster, a powerful explosion at an unlicensed fireworks factory in Benton, Tennessee, kills 11 people and injures 1. A severe drought hits several Midwestern states in the summer of 1983, causing water shortages. Pioneer 10 becomes the first man-made object to leave the solar system. Sally Ride becomes the first American woman in space, and Gwynne Bluford, the first African-American astronaut in space, both on the Space Shuttle Challenger. Hurricane Alicia hits the Texas coast, killing 22 people and causing $3 billion in damage. President Ronald Reagan announces that the Global Positioning System, or GPS, will be made available for civilian use. Suicide truck bombings on U.S. Marine Corps and French troops in Beirut kill 241 servicemen, 58 French paratroopers, and 6 Lebanese civilians. Kary Mullis discovers polymerase chain reaction while working for CETUS. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is established by President Ronald Reagan in honor of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. And the Apple Lisa PC, Lotus 123, Disney Channel, the Minivan, McNuggets, Cabbage Patch Kids, Fruit Roll-Ups, and Hot Pockets are invented, and the songs Billie Jean, Never Gonna Let You Go, Every Breath You Take, Flashdance, What a Feeling, Beat It, Total eclipse of the heart, sweet dreams are made of this, Mr. Roboto, we've got tonight, all night long, all night, and Break My Stride are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1983 D. Lincoln Memorial Synth. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1983 D. Lincoln Memorial Synth. Now we'll take a look at the 1983 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1983 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Now we will cover the history of the year 1984. In the year 1984, President Reagan announces in his State of the Union that the U.S. will begin development of a permanently crewed space station and invite international space agencies to the project, later to become the International Space Station. Michael Jackson's hair catches on fire during the filming of a Pepsi commercial. U.S. President Ronald Reagan calls for an international ban on chemical weapons. Margaret Heckler of the U.S. Public Health Service announces the identity of HTLV-3 as the virus that causes AIDS. The 6.2 magnitude Morgan Hill earthquake shook Central California and the South Bay, causing 21 to 27 injuries and $7.5 to $8 million in losses. The tornado outbreak of June 7th through 8th, 1984, occurs when an F5 tornado nearly destroys the town of Barneveld, Wisconsin, killing 9 people, injuring nearly 200, and causing over $25 million in damage. The movies Ghostbusters and Gremlins are released both on June 8th. The Space Shuttle Discovery takes off and eventually lands after its maiden voyage. Hezbollah car bombs the U.S. Embassy Annex in Beirut, killing 24 people. In the 1984 U.S. presidential election, Ronald Reagan defeats Walter Mondale with 59% of the popular vote, and Mondale only wins Minnesota and Washington, D.C. On December 1st, NASA intentionally crashes a remote-controlled Boeing 720, and the 3D printer, digital projector, DNA profiling, the clapper, extra gum, HP LaserJet, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch are invented, and the songs Ghostbusters, Against All Odds, Take a Look at Me Now, When Doves Cry, I Just Called to Say I Love You, Thriller, Hello, Stuck on You, Careless Whisper, If Ever You're in My Arms Again, and If This Is It are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1984 D. Lincoln Memorial Synth. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1984 D. Lincoln Memorial Synth. Now we'll take a look at the 1984 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1984 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Now we'll cover the history of the year 1985. In the year 1985, President Ronald Reagan and Vice President George H.W. Bush are sworn in for a second term in office. On March 8th, a car bomb planted in Beirut by CIA mercenaries attempts to kill Islamist Sayyid Mohammed Hussein Fadlallah. He survives, but the bomb kills more than 80 people and injures 200. The National Archives and Records Administration is established as an independent federal agency. Coca-Cola changes its recipe and releases New Coke. The response is negative, and the original formula is brought back after 3 months. 41 tornadoes hit in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and Ontario, killing 76 people. On June 14th, TWA Flight 847, carrying 153 passengers from Athens to Rome, is hijacked by Hezbollah fringe group. One passenger, U.S. Navy Petty Officer Robert Stetham, is killed. Back to the Future opens in American theaters and becomes the highest-grossing film of 1985 in the U.S. and the first film of the sequel. Delta Airlines Flight 191 crashes near Dallas, Texas, killing 137 people. The first smoking ban for restaurants in the United States is passed in Aspen, Colorado. Midwest Express Airlines Flight 105, a Douglas DC-9, crashes just after takeoff from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. On October 7th, the Mames landslide in Puerto Rico kills close to 300 people in the worst landslide in North American history. Aero Air Flight 1285, a Douglas DC-8, crashes after takeoff in Gander, Newfoundland, killing 256, 248 of whom were U.S. servicemen. And the Nintendo, Windows 1.0, Ford Taurus, Mercury Sable, Discovery Channel, Airheads, Cherry Coke, Discover Card, and Pound Puppies are invented, and the songs We Are the World, That's What Friends Are For, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, We Built This City, The Power of Love, Every Time You Go Away, A View to a Kill, Raspberry Beret, and Broken Wings are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1985 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1985 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now we'll take a look at the 1985 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1985 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Now we will cover the history of the year 1986. In the year 1986, on January 28th, Space Shuttle Challenger disintegrates 73 seconds after launch, killing the crew of 7 astronauts, including schoolteacher Krista McAuliffe. In March, Halley's Comet reaches the closest point to the Earth during its second visit to the solar system in the 20th century. The next time it will be seen is predicted for 2061. United States Navy divers find the intact crew compartment of the Challenger space shuttle. The bodies of all 7 astronauts are found inside. In the fundraiser, Hands Across America, approximately 6.5 million people form a human chain from New York City to Long Beach, California, to raise money to fight homelessness and hunger. The July 8th, 6.0 magnitude North Palm Springs earthquake causes 29 to 40 injuries and $4.5 to $6 million in losses. The July 13th, 5.8 magnitude Oceanside earthquake kills 1 and causes $700,000 in losses. And the July 21st, 6.2 magnitude Chalfont Valley earthquake causes 2 injuries and $2.7 million in losses. On August 31st, Aero Mexico Flight 498, a Douglas DC-9, collides with a Piper PA-28 over Cerritos, California, killing 67 on both aircraft and 15 on the ground. Pan Am Flight 73, a flight from Bombay, India to JFK Airport in New York, is hijacked and 21 people are killed. The unemployment rate drops to 6.6%, the lowest since March of 1980, and the first laptop, the disposable camera, Pixar, A&W Cream Soda, Pop Secret, and the Timex Iron Man are invented, and the songs On My Own, Don't Dream It's Over, Glory of Love, Take My Breath Away, These Dreams, Danger Zone, Your Wildest Dreams, The Next Time I Fall, and I Just Died in Your Arms are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1986 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1986 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now we will take a look at the 1986 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1986 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Now we'll cover the history of the year 1987. In the year 1987, President Ronald Reagan undergoes prostate surgery, causing speculation about his fitness to continue in office. The United States military detonates an atomic weapon at the Nevada test site. U.S. President Ronald Reagan addresses the American people on the Iran-Contra affair, acknowledging his overtures to Iran had deteriorated into an arms for hostages deal. On May 17th, the USS Stark is hit by two Iraqi Exocet AIM-39 air-to-surface missiles, killing 37 sailors. On May 24th, approximately 800,000 people gather on the Golden Gate Bridge to celebrate its 50th anniversary. On June 12th, during a visit to Berlin, Germany, U.S. President Reagan challenges Soviet General Secretary Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down the Berlin Wall. Reagan famously states, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Northwest Airlines Flight 255, a McDonnell Douglas MD-82, crashes on takeoff from Detroit Metropolitan Airport, killing all but one 4-year-old, Cecilia Chichan, of the 156 people on board. The 5.9 magnitude Whittier Narrows earthquake affected the Los Angeles area, killing 8 and injuring 200. On October 19th, an unexpected stock market crash occurs, known as Black Monday. On October 26th, another stock market crash occurs. In December, the unemployment rate drops to 5.7%, the lowest since July 1979. Pacific Southwest Airlines Flight 1771 crashes near Paso Robles, California, killing all 43 people on board after a shooting incident on board. The CDR, Prozac, Digital Audio Tape, Pirate's Booty, Red Bull, Windows 2.0, and disposable contact lenses are invented, and the songs I Wanna Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me, Never Gonna Give You Up, Faith, With or Without You, Didn't We Almost Have It All, I've Had the Time of My Life, Songbird, Heaven is a Place on Earth, Hungry Eyes, and Shattered Dreams are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1987 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1987 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now we'll take a look at the 1987 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1987 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Now we'll cover the history of the year 1988. In the year 1988, the Dell Computer Corporation is incorporated, and Ronald Reagan delivers his final State of the Union address. 2 U.S. Army helicopters collide in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, killing 17 servicemen. In April, the unemployment rate drops to 5.4%, the lowest since June of 1974. Republican George H.W. Bush is nominated for president, and Democrat Michael Dukakis is nominated for president. On May 31st, U.S. President Ronald Reagan addresses 600 Moscow State University students during his visit to the Soviet Union. The Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty that banned intermediate-range missiles in the U.S. and the Soviet Union comes into effect. The first reported medical waste on northeastern beaches, including waste from needles possibly infected with the AIDS virus, washes ashore, causing closures. NASA resumes space shuttle flights grounded after the 1986 Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. Ronald Reagan makes the decision to tear down the new U.S. Embassy in Moscow due to the Soviet listening devices in the structure. The Morris worm, the first computer worm, is distributed via the Internet, written by Robert Tappan Morris from MIT. In the 1988 United States presidential election, George H.W. Bush is elected as the 41st President of the United States, defeating Michael Dukakis. U.S. President Ronald Reagan signs a bill providing the death penalty for murderous drug traffickers. In Palmdale, California, the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber is revealed, and Pan Am Flight 103 is destroyed by a bomb, killing 270 people. The Windows 2.1 system, Dell, Microsoft Office, Apple Scanner, HP DeskJet, Lunchables, Wild Cherry Pepsi, and Powerade are invented, and the songs Kokomo, Man in the Mirror, Smooth Criminal, Straight Up, Together Forever, The Living Years, Two Hearts, Sweet Child O' Mine, Fast Car, Wild Wild West, and A Groovy Kind of Love are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1988 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1988 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now we'll take a look at the 1988 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1988 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Finally, we'll cover the history of the year 1989. In the year 1989, on January 1st, the Canada-United States Free Trade Agreement comes into effect. George H.W. Bush is sworn in as the 41st President, and Dan Quayle is sworn in as the 44th Vice President. In March, the unemployment rate drops to a low of 5%, the lowest since December of 1973. A large geomagnetic storm causes the collapse of the Hydro-Quebec power grid. 6 million people are left without power for 9 hours. Some areas of the northeastern U.S. lose power, and auroras are seen as far south as Texas. On March 22nd, Congress passes a bill to protect the job of whistleblowers who expose government waste or fraud. On March 24th, in Alaska's Prince William Sound, the Exxon Valdez spills 240,000 barrels of oil after striking Bly Reef. The film Batman is released, earning more than $40 million in its first weekend, a box office record. United Airlines Flight 232, a Douglas DC-10, crashes in Sioux City, Iowa, killing 112. 184 people on board survive. On September 5th, in his first televised speech to the nation, U.S. President George H.W. Bush holds up a bag of cocaine and proposes to spend $7.9 billion in the war on drugs. On October 13th, in the Friday the 13th mini-crash, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunges 190.58 points. On October 17th, the 6.9 Loma Prieta earthquake shakes the San Francisco Bay Area, killing 63 people and causing $5.6 to $6 billion in damages. The Phillips disaster, explosions in Pasadena, Texas, kills 23 and injures 314 people. In the November 1989 tornado outbreak, tornadoes in the eastern U.S. kill at least 31 people. In a meeting off the coast of Malta, U.S. President George H.W. Bush and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev release statements indicating the Cold War between the two nations may be coming to an end. The World Wide Web, Game Boy, Honey Bunches of Oats, Huggies Pull-Ups, Kush Ball, Lego Pirates, and Symphony Chocolate Bar are invented, and the songs Wind Beneath My Wings, We Didn't Start the Fire, Lost in Your Eyes, Right Here Waiting, Love Shack, The End of the Innocents, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You, Don't Know Much, Another Day in Paradise, and Free Fallin' are released. Now we'll take a look at the 1989 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1989 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now we'll take a look at the 1989 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Here are the details on the composition, designer, mintage, grading, and inflationary value of the 1989 S. Washington Quarter Proof. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it to be interesting. For more videos, please like and subscribe. Thank you, keep on collecting, and have a great day.